Game on! We got our best of 3 series, everybody. Heroes Lounge Fischer's Fritze is playing against Only Friends today, and I chose this series for a reason, because we're gonna get a lot of Murky. Smokey was already somebody that you guys should know from the recent Amateur Cup, and he is once again putting his notorious frog out there to the test. On the left, we got Fischer's Fritze with Hots Pro on Garrosh. We got Mixon on Zarya. Oleander on Rhaegar, Smokey on Murky, and Nicholas is playing Vala in game number 1 of the series. Over on the right side, Wasabi on Brightwing for the Only Friends. Fantastic team name, by the way. Warren is playing Infest Zagara. We got Sokalila on Tychus, Starchild on Stitches, and yeah, Dehaka is also playing for the red team. I am not pronouncing that. That's just not happening. So we're currently looking at Division 4 here, and this should be a pretty spicy series. We're currently, again, focusing a bit on the amateur scene. Keep in mind that we have 2 tournaments. Oh, hello, Garrosh, and that's a kill. First blood already for the Only Friends. Not a lot of friends over here, at least not very friendly behavior from them. But yeah, keep in mind that we have 2 tournaments actually coming up. First of all, we're starting with an Underdog Cup in just a couple of days. It's going to be a small amateur tournament. And then after that, towards the end of January, we have the big one. The $10,000 prize money tournament starting. The Nations Cup 2026. And guys, it is getting spicy. We have now the first teams that have signed up. I think 5 in total. And from everything that we've been told so far, from the teams that are forming, I think we're going to get roughly to 16 teams, maybe a little bit more than that. We have a German team already signed up, a Russian team has signed up, we have a team from the Netherlands, from Poland, from France, and there are some absolute bangers in there when it comes to lineups. Mixon on the other side, talking about banging, like he's falling asleep on the wheel apparently, just sits there and takes it. I'm not quite sure if the mouse disconnected or if his dog ate the keyboard, but something was fishy there, and it wasn't Murky. Just sits there and dies. Now we're having Hots Pro in trouble again. He already died previously, but this time at least he makes it through the gate. So, yeah, with the Nations Cup on the horizon, there's a lot of really high-level content coming, but for now we're gonna look a bit more at the fun side and see what's being played out here in Heroes Lounge Division 4. Keep in mind, everybody can sign up for this, so if you want to play Heroes Lounge, you can. Just check out the website and the Discord. It's Heroes of the Storm as it's supposed to be played. A lot of fun. But at this point, finally a counter kill, so Tychus was eliminated. We have Vala, by the way, with an auto attack build, so she comes straight in with the first few stacks. And yeah, that said, we got Tougher Fish now for Murky, who has been rotating between the lanes, obviously, quite aggressively. Personally, I really want to see how much Zagara in particular is going to be able to do here throughout the game. With the Infest build, they're obviously aiming to push for structures very aggressively. And if she's up against Murky alone, she should be able to do a lot of damage there. But time will tell. Stitch is preparing to become that hit point monster heavy tank that he was always meant to be. With stacks on level 1. No Alexstrasza on his side though, that could potentially give him a few more globes. Lands a couple of hooks here. Zagara in this case now even going for Serrated Spine. So a little bit more interested in the single target hero damage. And not going into just AoE, which you could of course also do if the whole goal would be to simply destroy minion waves and then go for structures. Murky is, as the objective spawn, instantly being attacked. And might actually be destroyed here too, but they want to get the channel, and it's not working out. Zagara gets caught and then chased by Garrosh, who's starting to flip her around a little bit. Dehaka is helping out. Problem is that now there's the lick, and Garrosh is dead again. And that was also some easy free stacks for Zagara's level 4, so another problem that they have to face. Zagara's channeling in, Dehaka interrupting Murky as he was attempting to steal one away. And it looks like at least the 2 altars at the top will go to the red team. Down here at the bottom of the map, the fight over this one is also like raging on as the 3rd one. And Vala's in trouble, but she quickly gets the shield from Zarya. Mixon making sure that Vala doesn't die here. But that's another 4 shots now fired. And apparently the red team is able to take all 3 altars. Mixon is in trouble again, gets chased. Zarya goes down, and that's kill number 4. They got level 7. They're likely going to get all 3 altars. Things are looking really good for them. Quick little attack from Garrosh as he's trying to buy more time. Zagara now coming in with a vicious acid. But both teams with level 7. But again, Garrosh gets caught and killed. That's kill number 5 for the Only Friends. And they get that extra altar. That's all 3 fired against the blue team. So very, very nice early game here from them. And that doesn't bode too well for Fischer's Fritze. Murky, I mean, he has so far not put a stamp on this game. If they can somehow leverage him and Smokey's skills on the frog, then I don't know, maybe they can turn it. But things are not looking too great right now, let's be honest about it. 40 points to 28 on the core. It is Towers of Doom, it is all about the late game here, so they might be able to still turn this one around. It's still early game, obviously, but I guess we'll see. Structurally, the blue team hasn't lost too much yet. As I mentioned before, Zagara is going to be interesting once that she gets fully unleashed here with the Infest build that she's running. So once that you get the Inspire buff and the Infest buff going, you can definitely, with the help of some minion waves, take structures down quickly. Depends on how they want to play her. She has nice damage also on a level 1, but it's actually Tychus that dies next. Tychus going down as the blue team is invading. But at the front, Stitches once again present. Dehaka is saying hello, but the lick misses. Vala not connected. Zagara gets killed, but they drop Rhaegar too. Zagara with not really too many auto attacks in that fight either, so only 15 stacks on level 4. And Zarya is just burning down Stitches. Goes full brrrr, and the hit points of that mad lad are just disappearing. So, with the last couple of kills in the camp stolen, the blue team is pulling ahead in experience. So, great for them. Octograb for Murky. We have Ancestral for Rhaegar, as you would expect, and they're starting to take the wall down at the bottom of the map. With the heroic abilities also kicking in for the Only Friends. We're getting Zagara still with more, so more interested in team fights than dropping an Nidus on this one. On top of that, we get Gorge, we get Commandeer Odin, and we got the Blink Heal for Brightwing. Another big slap as the Octograb comes out. Nice, quick hook. Here comes the Gorge. They're trying for Garrosh. Yeah, it's a juicy target, but I'm not quite sure if they can take him down here. Indomitable gets quickly used. Zarya gets eaten up, and nah, maybe not. But they are getting the hook on Mixon, and that's a kill right there. So Zarya goes down once again. A few more attacks also from Zagara to boost her damage. But she's sitting at 14,000 right now. Second highest damage dealer on the team. Vala, she's the one to keep the hopes up for Fischer's Fritze, as she's at 22,000, the top damage dealer in the game right now. And yeah, Dehaka sitting at the top, and Zagara is now starting to push with the rest of the team at the bottom of the map. Has the potential to try and go for the bell tower conversion at this point. So, right here comes the opportunity. They have, oh, once again, the hook. Couple of hits from Zagara as well. Still trying to stack that level 4 talent, but 23 stacks at this point in time isn't really much to write home about. So, yeah, Mixon just trying to clean up some of the creep tumors. So he is currently applying for the job as janitor in the game. We don't have Leoric here, but he's doing the job as best as he can. Gets eaten once again and might fall victim, but Rhaegar is ready. Drops an early Ancestral. Better safe than sorry, as Dehaka is still pushing the top against Murky. So it's a nice back and forth now all of a sudden. Early game was very much so in the hands of the red team, but now it's a more even game. Vorin gets out with Zagara thanks to a triple more, and then instantly the vicious acid. And now the attacks, they keep coming. Zagara is the first one to fall, but they get the counter kill on Garrosh, so he's gone once more. Traded kill as Tychus is frontlining a little bit too hard for my liking. Is trying to get out, having some trouble with it. Especially since Vala is really doing a great job with her stacks. She's sitting at 133 now and hasn't died yet. Needs to make sure that it stays that way though. Mixon, he's becoming a bit of a punching bag here for the team. Sacrificing himself for the greater cause. We have now 4 deaths on his side and on the side of Garrosh. Can they interrupt? Yes, they can! Not good for Rhaegar, who wanted to head back for some mana. Yeah, with Zagara here, they could have done a lot. But she's now moving towards the top, as it seems. Moving straight past Murky, but attempting to defend, first and foremost. The teams are both on level 13 for now. We have 20 points on the core against 36. Altars are soon going to spawn again. Dehaka and Zagara both pushing here as the blue team is more interested in the bot lane. 30,000 damage from Vala. She's doing pretty okay here. With Tigers at 27, Zagara at 22. Zagara could get a lot if they can shield her a little bit more in these fights and just help her to stack. Especially Garrosh is always so far to the front that they have a nice opportunity there to get her some extra damage. But the Serrated Spines are currently sitting at 32. Again, the Ancestral. Nicely done. And with 21 stack, Stitches is already a little bit hit point heavy, but not that much. Triple Maw comes in again. And yeah, they're saving Stitches and are able to work some additional hits in for Zagara too. 36 stacks for her now. Vala will soon, in 2 levels, hit her level 16 and then have Manticore to play off as well. 5 kills to 9. Stitches again, might be in trouble, gets killed. They're trying for more. Counter kill attempt on Garrosh, but they're not able to take him on, and Vala just keeps stacking and stacking and stacking. Gets another kill, gets another quest reward. 150 stacks for her now. Absolutely rocking it. Nicholas over here is doing great for his team. They're banking on his damage, and so far he's absolutely delivering. Pushing now for the first bell tower conversion of the game. The blue team more and more in control over what's happening here. Zagara is trying to escape, but runs the wrong way, and that's an easy kill against the Zerg Queen. So the bell tower gets converted. The blue team pulls ahead in XP and is closing in on level 16, which they are now reaching. That gives them a lot of synergy for Rhaegar, for Vala, and for others, with Murky coming through on the fish oil, for example. Yeah, now the shots are slowly being fired against the Only Friends. That's 5 shots now per altar. Thankfully for the red team, there's only a single altar on the map currently. Murky still puffering around from one lane to the next. Zagara with 44 stacks currently. Boosting her damage slowly, but not really significantly enough to threaten the blue team too much yet. Nice flank here. Gets immediately gobbled up though. What can they do? Quick stun. And maybe the hook and the Ancestral is just a bit too much. The Maws from Zagara, I gotta say, on point though. It's always at least a double or a triple Maw that we're getting from her. So a lot of opportunities here, but they're just not able to follow up on it properly to get those quick kills. The hook's not too bad either. I mean, they're really getting some shots delivered now. 16 is ready. Zagara, therefore, immediately with the Corrosive Saliva. That's nice, but they're losing Stitches, and that's a problem. Pulverize is also in. Zagara gets attacked again, but is able to get away this time. Vala, very aggressive at this point in time. She needs to be cautious. She hasn't died yet, so she's still enjoying all of the benefits from the Gambit. We have the camp claimed on the left by Smokey. He's just using his PhD in PvE all game, every game, getting camps, getting minion waves, getting the experience for them. As the strong 4-man around Zarya at the bottom of the map is now protecting that bell tower and trying to escort the pumpkins in. 64 stacks for Zagara, so this little standoff situation that they have going on is at least good for her. She has some easy stacks coming through. They are preventing most of the pumpkins, but one sneaks through anyways. The problem is that now that we're heading into the triple altar phase, with a bell tower situation of 5-3, the red team has to step it up a bit. They can't let too many of the altars go over to Fischer Spritzer. At a minimum, they have to get one. Better would be 2. They're trying with Dehaka over on the left side. It actually seems that the blue team is messing this up a little bit. Yeah, that's a double soak, so it's 5 shots fired against 6. The Only Friends are still pulling ahead a little bit. Hook is missing. Starchild, of course, since level 13, able to get the long distance hook. And I think Garrosh is screwed. Garrosh looks pretty screwed here. The Maw, again, connecting with 2. Zagara has been absolutely on point every single time with this. Now here comes the Octo Grab against Zagara, and Vala together with Murky finishes the job. And Ancestral keeps Zarya alive, so good job by Oleander too. We have 10 kills to 10. 13 minutes in and 20 kills. So yeah, they are definitely getting the numbers up now. Zagara, she has the scaling potential on the blue team side, but she has now also died 4 times with 53,000 damage. She's still doing pretty okay. She's essentially on the same damage numbers that we're getting from Vala here. Tigers is the top damage dealer of the game right now. We're trying to retake at the bottom of the map. But yeah, Zagara could do a lot. One of the problems is that her going Infest hasn't really helped the team too much. She hasn't had a lot of opportunities to push on a lane using the Inspire and the Infest buff to take structures down. So that talent has essentially gone nowhere thus far. And if they ever get some control and win some team fights, then they might be able to leverage this to push through a few of those bell towers. But right now, at least, it's a bit tricky. Mixin gets eaten up and might actually die here. Very likely going to fall. Mixin low, about to go down, but they're also taking Tigers apart, so it's a kill for a kill once again. It really feels like the only friends in the last few fights couldn't get a break. Now Vala is just absolutely running rampage here. Even the morphs that we're getting from Zagara can't do anything about it. Brightwing gets also killed. The auto attack's just way too much to handle, and that's a quad kill right there. Job well done. A few more shots fired thanks to the pumpkins. Now they have level 20. It's a double altar up on the map. They're trying to retake the bell tower too, and honestly, I don't understand why they're channeling. They should definitely... Okay, they are boarding the channel and they're letting Vala do her thing. I don't really understand why only Vala is doing this, because she won't be able to. So they are channeling after all. They should have just stayed there with the entire team, gotten the bell tower, and then immediately moved towards the altars to take that. So, bit of miscommunication going on. Doesn't change the fact that this is so far going extremely well for the blue team after a bit of a shaky start. So Rhaegar has still delayed the channel at the bottom of the map. That gives them another 5 points, which means that the two teams will be equal in 4 points. But with the pumpkins now potentially coming through, there is the chance for the team on the left to finally pull ahead, not only in experience and kills, but also in points on the core. So they're going to try and set this up here. Vala, I mean, again, 223 stacks already. She is murdering them. Absolutely murdering them. And yes, Zagara is very much so catching up. She's catching up with Tychus, and as Vala is now pulling ahead into the #1 spot, Zagara could, theoretically at least, contest that later on in the game. But it's just not looking too great here. 20 is at least available now. So with 20 being in play, gives us also some interesting upgrades, as you might have already seen. We're getting the can do this all day. Cooldown reduction always need, but not a talent you see a whole lot. We get the gas back for Stitches, and then the pack instinct for Zagara. So more damage potentially, as they are again gobbling up Garrosh. This could be a kill once more, and yeah, they're getting a little bit too close on this, but they still get the kill. So here's the opportunity. Now they can try to push. They have a lot of damage coming in. They also have Zagara here, so they can really try and push with some minion waves once that they spawn, but they need to also deal with Vala somehow. Another hook, this time on Rhaegar, absolutely on point. He doesn't use his Ancestral yet. We get Odin 2. Didn't upgrade, keep that in mind. Went instead into can do this all day. Zagara gets Octo Grab and is dead once more. Yeah, it's the old playbook here. Murky coming in, getting the Octo Grab. He basically doesn't appear all game long, and then in the fight when they least expect it or really can't afford it, he comes in, gets an Octo Grab through, and then Vala says thank you and just murders the target with a single target damage. So now the pumpkins, they are connecting. That puts the red team down to 10 points on the core. We have one altar down at the bottom of the map that's already active. So once that they channel that, it will be 5 points. The boss at that position isn't really winning the game outright, but given how many pumpkins they were able to push through the bot lane, yeah, that boss is still going to be a bit of a concern. Vala is just farming damage. 97,000. She wants to head straight into the 6-digit club and hit the 100k, and she's getting very, very close. And Murky, he's been holding those side lanes really well. The Haka is now finally pushing at the top, but let's be honest, they were never threatening a bell tower. So for Murky, that's actually pretty neat. And now that we have those pumpkins appearing at the bot lane, this is really the moment where if the blue team gets a single pumpkin through, they could end through a boss, or even if the bell tower gets retaken, an altar would still be enough to win the game. So, yeah, it's do or die. The only friends, they need to either step it up now, or they are going to lose game #1 of this best of 3 series. Garrosh gets eaten again. Yeah, Stitches moving him in, and that's the end of Garrosh. It should be. No Ancestral on cooldown there. This time there's no direct counter kill Vala couldn't do anything either. Maybe this is the moment where they can start their comeback. They're certainly trying. 16 kills to 13. The bell tower gets converted. One pumpkin made it through though. So the boss is a bit of a concern. And now we've seen Murky push the top lane a bit. They're already pinging at the bottom of the map, really eager to gain momentum. And this is exactly what they need to do. They need to gain momentum here. With minion waves, they might be able to pull this off. There's an altar spawning. I guess they are trying. No! Sagara! No! Dumm gelaufen. Oh, not like this. The one squishy walks past the most dangerous bush in the situation without checking, and they're losing Sagara here as they were trying to take the boss at the top and remove it as a tool from the map. Oh my god, that just hurts. That just absolutely hurts. Maybe this, on the other hand, could turn it again. Rhaegar gets caught, a quick lick and he's down, but Vala shows no mercy. She's fully stacked right now. Tychus gets eliminated, and Vala is just coming in like a machine gun. Eliminating, and look at the damage output for Vala. It's ridiculous. A moment ago we were talking about her not quite being at 100,000 yet, and now she's essentially sitting at 130k. And she is just crushing this. And goes for stitches. 5-man team wipe. And that is game. That's game number 1. Fischer's Fritze is able to take it. Was a shaky early game for them, but they are able to win Towers of Doom and take the lead in the best of 3 series here at Heroes Lounge. GG. Well played. We're going to head in game number 2 in a second. Guys, if you enjoy the content, if you like the coverage here, please subscribe to the channel and like the video. It really helps to spread the videos to people that were interested in Heroes of the Storm in the past and might rejoin the game. So spread the love a little bit, help to promote the games here, like and subscribe, and I hope that you enjoy the rest of the series. Map number 2. So, blue team is ahead after their Murky performance. Now, without the Frog, they're playing on Tomb of the Spider Queen. We got on the left Mixon again on Rhaegar. I've seen this lineup before. Nicholas is playing Vala, Oleander is playing Rhaegar, and we got Mixon on Zarya. Those 3, it's the same of what they just did on the first map. We have a bit of a different front line now with Diablo played instead of Garrosh by Hotspro, and then Smokey instead of Murky is playing Dehaka here in game number 2. But essentially a very similar composition to what they did in game number 1. Over on the right side, we got Wasabi on Sonya. Sakaliala is playing Oriel. We got Vorin on Alarak. Krabic is playing Sylvanas. And we got Starchild on Varian. So, we need our level 1 here. Are we going Lightning? Yes or no? Do we stack on 4? Or do we just forego that as an idea for Alarak? Vala obviously is going to try and repeat the performance of game number 1. I mean, she was a monster, an absolute monster in the late game here. Early attack, Vala immediately being targeted. They would love nothing more than killing her this early in the game and removing some of the Gambit stacks already. But we're not quite there yet. Alarak apparently still has a bit of a personal crisis going on where he just can't decide what exactly he wants to do. So a little bit indecisive here today. With Dehaka already pushing at the bottom of the map, and somebody needs to meet that. But they are bothering with the camp currently, so they're prioritizing that. As top side, the attack is still going on, and Diablo is down. The HOTS Pro is turning into some free experience here. The only friends, they're coming in heavy-handed as they're moving for kill number 2, trying to take Zarya down, but not able to drop her this quickly. Down at the bottom of the map with the camp in the middle now claimed, we're having Wasabi taking position against Smokey. On level 1 we get the overwhelming power for Alarak, so we're not gonna get those level 4 stacks kicking in. Zarya has started with Together We Are Strong once again, and they are heavily focused on Vala with this. But some good connects that we're already getting. Yeah, Oriel full of hope here. Could drop that too. They try for Hotspro again. Mixon is a bit low. Shield full on energy, but yeah, there's the play from Alarak. They just, oh, maybe they get the kill after all, and yes, they do. The heal wasn't there. She looked safe. Zarya honestly looked safe, and then they come in and drop her regardless. That's 2 kills to 0, so similar to what we've seen in game number 1. The early game, this is where the only friends do a bit better. The camp that they took early on helped them now to drop the wall in very significantly in hit points too. With level 4, we of course have Taunt. Sylvanas, Varian gets killed. Sylvanas went into the Haunting Arrow. Keep in mind, she has also been reworked a little bit. We now have on the baseline her level with or her pinnacle reward here, her quest stacks. So another hero that has been adjusted by Blizzard. It's not only Falstad, Kerrigan, and Thrall. Even those are typically the ones that most people are talking about right now. Zarya with the speed bubble on level 7, level 4. And a lot of it will center now around the taunts from Varian. Red team is going to try and get their kills in. They've been fairly dominant in those rotations. They have the superior numbers currently. They're, funnily enough, behind in gems. They only lost a single hero, but they're behind in gems right now, and they should really turn in what they have. But that's the one thing that probably worries them slightly. Fischer's Fritze on the objective side is doing a bit better. Haven't turned them in, haven't secured them yet, so could still lose them. But at least they're holding a few more, and we have only friends trying to get their turn in. And yeah, with ease. Not really a big problem for them. Down at the bottom of the map, yeah, Sonya hasn't really gotten too much yet. There is another chance for kill. Nice whip into the wall. The taunt follows instantly, and Diablo goes down for the second time. That was really well done. Initially, it was Auriel with a whip into the wall, gets the stun through, and then we have Varian following up on that perfectly. The CC chain, something that just... Diablo can't escape that. And then with all of the damage around, that was an easy one, so they are able to get the kill and pull a little bit closer towards level 7, which, with a talent advantage, might allow them to get the first objective. They're definitely getting very, very close in gems, and could push this a bit more aggressively. We now got the Lost Soul over here for Sylvanas. 26 stacks on the baseline currently. Diablo again with the engage. Varian comes in, starts to target Vala in the back. Lots of damage there. With a bit of a follow-up, they might even been able to get the kill. So Nicholas has to be a bit careful. Game number 1 worked extremely well, but here they're struggling a bit more. To be fair, 62 stacks. 4.5 minutes into the game, that's very, very solid. So the whole gameplay that they have here around Vala is still working for them, at least for now. Hasn't died yet, lost none of the attack speed, but the red team is doing a bit better and has now their own web weavers coming down, so we'll once again see an attempted push. I actually expect also that we are going to see maybe a couple of Nations Cup teams out of HeroesLounge. I mean, there's so many amateur players here from so many different countries. I'm sure that there's going to be a, oh, nice, the kill on Vala, finally in. And that's some of the attack speed lost, and it seems that Diablo is also in trouble, but this time he escapes. As I was about to say, though, I'm pretty sure that with this big of a community, chances are that we're going to get some countries that are normally not that heavily represented and Nation Cups that will be able to field at least an amateur team. And it should be pretty cool. And since we are splitting the prize money of $10,000 onto the top 8 essentially with the playoffs, everyone that makes it into the final round is going to get some prize money. Not only the top 2, top 3 as we usually see with tournaments like this. What we are seeing here, though, is something that we are quite familiar with in this game. Diablo dying, so he goes down again, and that's level 10. This is actually only friends starting to speedrun game number 2 a little bit. That's the second fort destroyed. They destroyed one at the top, now the one in the middle. They can push for the bottom of the map too. And having a 2-level advantage right now, with them being able to run heroic abilities to drop Smokey and also take down those gems, is crazy. That's 3 forts lost. 3 forts lost in that situation. And still a 2-level gap between the teams that can now be fully exploited by the Only Friends. And they have essentially enough gems to get another turn-in. Turn-in number 1 gave them 3 forts. Now they have an opportunity to turn in once more and then do their thing. And for example, Sylvanas, she's now sitting at 143 stacks, which means that with another 100, she will get her first quest reward here and will increase the damage. Pinnacle reward, a little bit out of reach still, but this is a solid start for sure. Vala is now sitting at 85 stacks, has died once, so Nicholas is losing some of the auto attack speed that he gains normally through the gambit. But in come the turn-ins, and yeah, they need to pick up another 5 gems, but then they're basically ready for Web Weaver wave number 2. So, things are looking pretty good. Sadism for Alarak at 111. Sylvanas with 23,000 damage is currently the top damage dealer in the game. Finally, we have Fischer's Fritze with their own heroic abilities. Trying to interrupt, but the interrupt actually works, okay. Nixon, he has to be a bit careful though, for that reason. But he's able to walk away. He wasn't able to deny the web weavers on the other hand. So, well, here we go. Number 2, they're taking the walls out. Make sure that there's no vision for the blue team. Camp is still there, but they're not too aggressively moving into this. It's the blue team that turned in. My bad. I thought it was the red team that was able to deliver the final 2 gems that were missing, but no, the blue team was able to get their own turn in. So, apologies. Okay. It's a very quick defense at the bottom of the map, though. Varian anchoring the play here. Nicely done. First web weaver is already out, and now we're going to see what they can do in the middle as the blue team is clearly trying to push here. Aegis is already being used. A poke! Oh, but there's the kill on Oriel. Oriel down. Sylvanas down. It's a slaughter. Rhaegar is also dead. So we have 3 heroes dying quickly. Sonya gets eliminated, and the blue team with an absolute beautiful fight and lots of momentum all of a sudden. Varian gets killed. Alarak is the only survivor, and that is brutal. They moved into a really weird choke point here, and that should not have happened at all. The squishies got quickly targeted, and once that Oriel and Sylvanas are gone, you're doomed. So they lose the fort in the middle. Now the one at the top is getting attacked. 8 kills to 5. And they just allowed Fischer's Fritze to come back into the game. So definitely not great decision making that we had from him here. They will save some of their forts at least. At a minimum, the one at the bottom of the map is still standing. But this obviously hurts. They were in such a dominant position, and then they got too greedy with the rotation towards the middle in an attempt to save the fort early. And yeah, that shouldn't have happened. So they lose 2 forts and allowed the blue team to get back into the game. And both teams have now enough gems for another turn-in. So we could see it from Fischer's Fritze. If they are able to control the turn-in point, red team is a bit faster, and they should get their web weavers, so they can technically still pull ahead here. But this was a setback, and a big one at that. And it's a little bit reminiscent from what we've seen in game number 1, considering that on Towers of Doom, initially at least, the Only Friends were also ahead, and then later on they just got fully destroyed as Vala came more and more online. And she's currently sitting at 99 stacks, so very close to getting her second reward and a bit more damage on those auto attacks. Alarak at least hasn't died, so he's sitting at 117 sadism. That's something to work with. They're trying to push through the top lane. There's also web weavers down at the bottom of the map. There's actually a bit of rotation going on, as apparently they're trying to trap him here. But a safe rotation from the blue teams. They're not falling for any of the shenanigans, and Only Friends are now trying to take, I suppose, the wall down. Their bot lane could still push, but they need to do some work here. Have now the Inspire buff active on the minion wave 2. The wall will fall easily. There's at least a 1 level gap still between the teams. A bit more than that, actually. And maybe the chance to take one of the keeps out. That would, of course, be the dream here. Objective number 2, drop the keep. Sylvanas still stacking. In comes the attack on Sonya. Aegis used. Can they go for a leap? Vasabi has the ult. Already, we have Rhaegar with his own drop, so Ancestral Healing is out, but the team is not playing an aggressive stance yet, and is not engaging. They're not coming in with Sonya and Alarak, trying to sync up their ults, for example. We still have the attack now down at the bottom of the map, taking the wall out. Well, one tower is technically still standing, I suppose. But barely, let's put it like that. So, yeah, interesting situation that's currently playing out here. At the bottom of the map, the Siege Giants are claimed. The attack in the middle, though, that's a different story. Mixing gets taunted. Alarak gets attacked. Sonya with a leap. And they drop Vala. That's the main damage gone. Mixin falls as well. That is Zarya dead. That's a 5 versus 3 now. And they have Hotspro with 36 gems in the corner. And drop him like a hot potato. So, 12 kills to 5. 16.5. on the count, and instantly the move towards the top of the map to try and take the boss and push with it for the top side keep. Now, there are still a few gems in play for the blue team, but not enough to get themselves a turn in, so they can't go for the typical trade that we see on Tomb of the Spider Queen, where your opponent claims a boss, you get your turn in, and then everybody just defends. So this could be pushed very aggressively by the Only Friends. On the damage side, we now have 45,000 for Alarak. He's by a huge margin the top damage in the game. Second would be Sylvanas with 35k. But look, for example, at Vala. She's not even at half the damage that we're seeing from Alarak. Well, she's barely at half. Not for long, though. He comes in. Alarak, yes, they're coming straight in for Diablo. Use the Apocalypse, and then Sonya. Woo-woo, jumping in and flattening him like a pancake. Top side, Vala is defending against the boss that is damaging the keep. The red team moving into the middle, making it a two-pronged attack, and at least one of those structures is going to fall. So the mid lane keep doesn't stand a chance. They're pushing more aggressively. They want Mixon again. There's the Ancestral, and he dies anyways. They have the keep, and now the core getting pinged aggressively as the Only Friends are trying to force game number 3 in the series. Vala just not coming online this time, even with the level 16 talent now kicking in, and the core is slowly falling. So the Only Friends, absolutely momentum that we have. They are snowballing this game heavily and take the victory on Tomb of the Spider Queen to successfully force game number 3 in the series. Nicely done. GG. Well played. Coming up next, we have game number 3 for you guys. Before we go, a big shout out to everybody that is supporting the channel on patreon.com/Khaldor. Really appreciate the support, guys. Thank you very, very much. If you want to support the channel, if you want to support our efforts to keep the Heroes of the Storm esports scene live with all of the events and tournaments that we're hosting, then please consider to check out patreon.com/Khaldor and support the channel there. It's the best way to support all of the things that we're currently doing for the scene and plan to do in the future. With that being said, enjoy the next game of the series. The final map, we're going to Garden of Terror. And we have some familiar picks. So, Mixon this time not going for Zarya. He is coming in with Junkrat, but we at least get Nicholas on Vala again. So he's going full one-trick in this particular series. Oleander on Anduin, and we get Smokey back on Murky. They have a 100% win rate with Murky so far in this series. So yeah, he's trying it here too, with Hots Pro on Muradin this time. Over on the right side, the Only Friends with Wasabi on Sonya. Sokalila on Rega. We got Starchild on Garrosh. Krabice on Jaina. And Warren is playing Cassia. So, time to rock and roll, and look at Vala over here. A bit of a different story. Now that they don't have Zarya to help out with the shields and the sustain, they're actually changing the attack pattern a bit and go instead into puncturing arrow. So we're gonna get an arrow build. Could potentially be also played with the level 7 follow-up, considering that we have so many mercenary camps on the map. We'll see. But the first thing that happens is that Anduin gets killed. So the Crybaby in the game, and it's an insta-kill. Yeah. No chance. So, Vala is going to be interesting with this. It's going to be an interesting play for her. With all of those mercenary camps, if you're trying to go Monster Hunter here, you can, I guess, get them a little bit faster. If you have a lot of fights that are centered around seeds, then you can definitely do a lot of damage with your arrows, and also, of course, try and get that level 1 talent stacked more aggressively. We'll see if that works out for them or not, but it's a very, very big map, so if we are heading into a long game, then there's technically a lot of stacks that Vala can get and damage that you can work in over time. On the other hand, you also have Murky, and he's going to try and run those side lanes. We've seen Smokey. I mean, Smokey really likes Murky. The underdog shenanigans that we've seen from him were always amusing, and now we have that here in the typical HeroesLounge games as well. So let's see if we can do some work in game number 3. This is the one for the win. So last map in the series between the teams. A couple of arrows still coming out, but still a fair amount of them also missing. They have the camp at the bottom of the map though, and the red team now has to try and defend. So we'll see how that's going. Sonya all alone at the top, by the way. I mean, this Rega, hello. Okay, so the dog needed a bath apparently and wanted to go back to the Nexus as quickly as possible. So Rega is dead for random reasons. Didn't really expect that, but alright. Sonya, as I already said, has a lot of presence at the top and was really able to push this. So, yeah, they're going in pretty hard on the top lane, taking the entire wall out, and Wasabi is dealing with the pufferfish as best as possible, trying, of course, to get some damage on the fort too. They won't be able to take the entire thing down, but hey, every bit of damage that you get this early on already matters. Vala with some hits. Sonya for a second in trouble, but Cassia has actually been eliminated by Junkrat, so good job by Mixon, able to get a kill in. And they're pushing them away from the seed and allow Vala to get another stack too. She's obviously gone straight into repeating arrow on level 4. First seed goes to the blue team. Fischer's Fritze also with the siege giant camp at the top that is starting to do some damage against structures. But we have both Garrosh and Sonya now moving to the lane to try and defend it. Which exposes the bot lane quite a bit though. And this is where Rhaegar died earlier. Apparently the doggy didn't want to go back. Is not heading there. So they're pushing instead at the top and the middle. But that automatically means that Fischer's Fritze is able to get a lot of damage onto that bot lane forward. Can they take it down? No. But that's a wall and that's 25 or 20% of the hit points gone. So yeah, not too bad. Vala, though, would probably love to have a few more brawls where she can stack further, because that hasn't really gone that well yet. I'm still intrigued to see what she goes for level 7. And indeed, we're getting Monster Hunter. So it's really the thought to also heavily use her for mercenary camps and get them a little bit quicker. Can also help them later on when you're going up against the Garden Terrors, of course. Severus him for the Only Friends on Cassia's side. And when we're talking Murky, slippery when wet. So they're getting the damage in at the bottom as they're sieging up there. Top side, this is where we have the Only Friends now aiming for their first seed. Nobody here to interrupt them, so it's an exchange. First one went over the blue team, now the red team is drawing even. But the defense down here is essentially non-existent. I mean, there's another minion wave with a full Inspire buff thanks to Muradin, and they are getting lots and lots of damage in. The Siege Giants at least were claimed by the red team. It could have been technically stolen away too. Muradin also... Oh, saved by Anduin. Alright, I thought he died. I really thought he wouldn't make it. But now that I just chastised the blue team for the lack of... or the red team for the lack of defense at the bottom of the map, the same is now happening at the top side. So it's a free fort for the Only Friends. And yeah, they're taking that easily. Technically now pulling ahead in structures too. So, Murky has been trying to kind of backdoor a couple of the minion waves, proxying them here between the lanes to apply more pressure. That has worked, and he's able to get out, but still, if in the long run this is really paying off for them, that's a different question. 11 stacks now for Vala, as he's trying to work in a few more, connects 2, so that really builds the numbers for her slowly. They want the fort, they get it. But now they still have to get out of that fight, because Fischer's Fritze is being forced into one, and I don't think they're going to enjoy that one too much. The flank is hitting them, and it's hitting them hard. Which means Anduin is the first one to die. Vala is at least working a few more stacks in. So now we have 14. Make it 15. Make it 16. She's getting the numbers. Vala is getting the numbers in. Question is just, can she keep it up, and is this going to lead to the late game that they want? Because right now, the red team, they might be a bit behind in experience, but they have executed a nice flank, secured themselves a second seed, so they're threatening the objective. Blue team with heroics, that means, as usual for Murky, we get Octograb. And also the enough fire on the side of Anduina. Camps are slowly getting claimed. Riptire for Junkrat. Red team busy at the top, closing in on level 10 themselves. And Vala goes for Strafe. Alright, so we got a Strafe Vala with an arrow build. Let's see. And then Haymaker Muradin. Okay. Okay. Octograb into Haymaker incoming. Yeah, Leap Ancestral. Vala with a few more hits. There comes the Haymaker. A few more opportunities for Vala, I suppose. Stormbolt, Riptire, can they get Garrosh? And the answer is no. They threw everything against him and they still couldn't get that kill. Yeah, instead they're losing. Anduin again. Anduin is down. Vala is getting flipped around. Muradin has already died. And Vala works in a few additional stacks, but is still going to get dropped by Rhaegar. So that's 3 kills against the blue team. and they might lose the objective here. Death timers are low, to be fair, but there's a chance for the Only Friends now to get the first set of... Did I say Web Weavers? I meant Garden Terrors. Same thing. This looks the same. Some damage at the bottom of the map still done, but Wasabi is there in time to prevent the worst. The keep isn't really losing anything. Instead, we now have Garden Terrors in the game, and that could spell out disaster for Fischer's Fritze. They already lost their top 4. They might lose more now. Vala, of course, back to business now, trying to get herself more stacks and really start threatening heroes on the other side. When we're looking over to the damage numbers, she's looking really good. 22,000 top damage in the game easily. Like, I mean, surpassing everyone with a huge margin, but it doesn't matter too much. There's 5 kills to 2 on the board now. The Only Friends are pushing for keeps and for the fort in the middle. Mixing gets attacked again. Riptire still dies. And they get a counter kill on, at a minimum, Rhaegar. It's actually Junkrat that is able to get the kill here, so Mixin at least died for good cause, and his death meant something. But they are taking damage. They are on the back foot now, losing some ground in the middle too, and the Garden Terrace at the bottom of the map are still active. Mirrodin jumping in, looking for some haymaker opportunities, I guess, but he's still on cooldown. Gets the stun against Garrosh. Sonya dead. Mirrodin also eliminated. And Vala still working some arrows. But she's at 25. I mean, I talk a lot about the arrows on Vala, and it's really something that could help them in the late game. But it's not like she's sitting at 40, 50, 60 arrows at this point. We're 8.5 minutes in and she's at 26. That's not horrible. But it's also not something where it's like, oh my god, she's going to murder all of them. If we're going to level 20 and she comes in with Acrobat, then she can, of course, push us even more aggressively. Already we're seeing her with the top numbers, and she is doing a lot of work when she can focus on a single target. But that doesn't mean that they're close to flipping the game around. The momentum is against them. Blue team, one thing they have going for themselves is experience, but they're losing structures, and yeah, they're behind in kills. The game can still be flipped. Jaina, for example, is also not anywhere near close to get the damage numbers to complete her baseline quest and get an ice block, so she's still quite vulnerable there. But for the time being, it's the Only Friends that are dominating the map and are making the moves. They are dictating the plays, and the blue team is mainly reacting to them. Murky is now defending at the bottom of the map. They are definitely aware how many are pushing, so they are trying to go to the top and take down Sonya from the looks of it. It's a little bit of a ballsy move. Sonya is very likely just going to jump out here. Arrow's already missing. Yeah, Riptire. Sonya jumps out. Totally fine. Mirrodin, he still wants her and can haymaker her and take her down. This turns out to be a decent play after all. Well, maybe, because they sacrificed the fort at the bottom of the map. They took Sonya down. Now they have a chance to take the top fort, which they want, but they are forced into the fight regardless. Rhaegar isn't here yet, and this could be a problem. Mirrodin is dead instantly, though. Vala with strafe. Big damage from her, but she still dies, and so did Anduin. So that's instantly another triple kill against Fischer's Fritze. The fort still destroyed, but by now we have the red team pulling ahead in experience. And this is something that they were trying to avoid, of course. With level 16 talents, we get the Numbing Blast. Murky gets the second seed for the team. Yeah, that's a bit of a win for them, so that's good. Jaina's close to completing her quest. We'll have an ice block after that. And Vala with 33,000 damage. Some of this damage is obviously strafe damage, so it's not all arrow damage that we're talking about. Murky, he's just been active on the map, taking one wave down after another, and now it's level 16 versus level 16. But yeah, it's still close. I mean, as a best of 3 series, I gotta admit, this is still massively close what we're seeing here. Each team could still win this. In kills and team fights, the red team has done so much better over the last couple of minutes. But generally speaking, on the map, the blue team isn't looking too bad. And if Vala is able to just keep this up, get Acrobat, get those stacks going, and then really start threatening the opponent's front line, then things can flip. But we have the Only Friends now in a position where they're very eager to extend that lead a bit further. So they're super aggressive around this, as they should be. Quest completed for Jaina, so she has an ice block now. Anduin with a light bomb. They need to defend that top keep and have to be a bit careful with their heroes. They're in a really dangerous spot and barely survive. I mean, Mirrodin and Anduin were both in trouble and were able to walk away. But they are holding the lane for now and the keep.
Vala got a few more stacks. Vent Seething Hatred. We have Anduin now with the double pull, which of course also helps. Yeah, too late to interrupt the seed here. Still connect the Stormbolt. Murky is providing some vision down here. Once again, the attack. Mixin a little bit low, about to die. And yes, Anduin, Murky, and Junkrat are all gone. Vala should get out of there. Maybe drop an arrow if the cooldown is ready, but that's actually the maximum. Needs to make sure that she doesn't stay too close, and they're losing Muradin too. So this is starting to completely flip out of control. It's nice that Vala is stacking, but at the end of the day, that doesn't mean too much if your team is consistently dying. With 14 kills to 5, it's quite clear who's currently dominating the game. Murky is trying to at least create some pressure through the side lanes, but the top side keep is now gonna fall. And Only Friends, they are just completely crushing them. They're going through them like hot butter through cheese at the moment. And if the blue team is not stabilizing quickly, they're going to be absolutely crushed here. Vala has nice damage, but that means nothing. If you can't follow that up with kills, it means absolutely nothing. Murky is now pushing for the bottom keep. Has lost his egg on the other hand. We'll get another puffer in, I guess. Yeah. That might not have been the best. They're getting some work done. Murky will have to half back out. Him getting the Siege Giants in position at least puts pressure on the keep, and somehow the red team isn't reacting to it. So they're not reacting at all. Murky could have even stayed there. Obviously didn't know that, but that keep at the bottom of the map is now eating way too much damage. I have no idea what's happening here. The red team is just griefing at this point. Guys, come on. That's a keep that we're talking about. We're not talking about a fort or anything, and you're losing it. The catapult should be taking this down. With a bit of luck, Rhaegar can maybe manage and be there in time, but nope. They are losing this keep for free. Zero reason for that to happen, but now the keep's gone. So technically, teams are very even in structures. The only difference is the fort in the middle. There's a gap in experience, of course. Murky with an Octograb, where you could argue that wasn't really needed to use the cooldown here. He would have died either way, but we'll see. Maybe there's still a chance for the blue team. They have to somehow bridge the experience gap, and obviously a problem that they're facing is that level 20 talent that we're soon going to get. They will have to play this very passive, and we're getting Garden Terrors again. That's an issue. They have 2 seeds, but so do the OnlyFans. And, well, we know which team is likely going to win a fight at this point. With level 20 talents kicking in, not a lot that you can do here. They need to try and take some minion waves out. Could have maybe sent somebody down to the bottom of the map to try and take another wave there. But, yeah. That is a ballsy position to go for. Smokey is trying to buy a bit of time. Muradin is saying hello. I mean, they're only buying time here. But I'm not so sure that they're going to get to level 20 in a reasonable time. If they are trying to attack, then I don't know. If they get 20 for the defense at least, that would be great. So if they can just delay this slightly, that would be fantastic. But I'm not so sure if this is really going to work out for them. And the risk is always that you're losing one of your heroes. So that's the problem. Mixin, jumping out. Garden Terrors already pulled. Murky, yeah, can try and defend at the bottom of the map a little bit and push this out. So that Garden Terror shouldn't really be doing too much. They're half a level away. I have no idea what Muradin is trying to do here. Dude, you need to get the hell out of there. You really need to get the hell out of there. You can't die just now. And Muradin is... he's dead. He's absolutely dead. No way. No way. That was so unnecessary. That death was just a full-on grief. You're so close to level 20. One Garden Terror at your core is not going to lose you the game here. So now they're trying to use Strafe to at least threaten Garrosh. Ancestral keeps him alive. Junkrat is gone, and this might just be game here. They're about to hit level 20, but with Muradin already gone and now the rest of the team being in trouble, the core is getting dropped. They're trying to defend the best they can, but they're down to 3 defenders, and one of them being Murky. It seems that the only friends are able to lock in the victory. That is game. The red team with 2 wins in a row as they claim the series. Nicely done. GG.